Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. On the feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe on Monday, December the 12th, Pope Francis presided over Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. In his homily, the pontiff recalled God's closeness as shown through the mother of his Son. The Holy Father connected the apparition of Our Lady of Guadalupe to our troubled times. He recalled the rumblings of war, growing injustice, famine, poverty and suffering, which make our horizon seem bleak and disconcerting. Pope Francis also recalled the launch on Monday of an intercontinental prayer novena to Our Lady of Guadalupe in the Americas to prepare for the 5th centennial of the apparitions in 2031. He urged all believers to participate in this celebratory journey that aims to promote an encounter with God through Our Lady of Guadalupe for the renewal of the social and ecclesial fabric of these peoples and communities. In the lead-up to Christmas, Pope Francis has requested a gesture of clemency for prisoners. In a letter addressed to all heads of state, he requested that they give a token of support to people who are denied their freedom and who are deemed qualified to make use of this provision. During his apostolic travels, the Holy Father has demonstrated his closeness to prisoners. He had pleaded with governments to perform an act of clemency for them on November the 6th in 2016, that being the Holy Year of Mercy. Pope Francis also explained how a criminal justice system must be open to hope and the possibility of reintegrating offenders into society. Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich on Monday relaunched the European bishops' plea for peace in the continent, underlying the need for churches to do everything possible to reach a ceasefire. He said it was essential because every day there are people who die, are wounded, who are hungry, thirsty and suffer from cold. In an interview with Vatican media, the outgoing president of the Commission of the Bishops' Conferences of the European Union, also known as Comesse, reflected on the main challenges of his 5-year mandate that is coming to an end. Cardinal Hollerich said that war concerns not only politics, but human beings. He added that it is not just a wound for people in Ukraine, but a wound to the soul and the heart of Europe. He also made an appeal to the people of Russia and Ukraine, to their governments and the churches, to make peace. Iran carried out a second execution early on Monday as nationwide anti-government demonstrations are continuing. 23-year-old Majidreza Ranavard was hanged from a crane in public after being arrested less than a month ago. According to the judiciary, the execution took place in the city of Mashhad. He was accused of fatally stabbing 2 members of the paramilitary Bassi Resistance Force, which is affiliated with the Revolutionary Guards. Just last week, Iran executed Mohsen Shekari, who was arrested during the ongoing anti-government protests. He was accused of injuring a security guard with a machete and blocking a street in the capital, Tehran. Rights groups claim Shekari was tortured and forced to confess to his crime. It was reported that Iranian authorities are pursuing the death penalty for at least 21 people. The Peruvian Episcopal Conference expressed its condolences to the relatives of those who had died as a result of the confrontation between demonstrators and the forces of order in the South American country. In a message published on Monday, December the 12th, the bishops made an invocation to build bridges of dialogue and asked that the National Police of Peru ensure the integrity of the people. Clashes began after the removal of Pedro Castillo as president following a failed coup attempt. After his dismissal, he was arrested and Vice President Dina Boluarte assumed the position of president. This led to followers of the former president starting a wave of violent protests in the south of the country. So far, 5 people have lost their lives. In their statement, the bishops called for no more violence or deaths and said that Peru itself must be the main priority. Latin America's highest nativity scene was illuminated on December the 9th in Quito, the capital city of Ecuador. Set up on the 3,000-metre-high El Panecillo hill, the Christmas creche has images which are more than 30 metres high. The statue of St. Joseph is 38 metres tall, while the wise men Balthazar and Gaspar measure 35 metres each, while Melchior is 33 metres tall. The child Jesus, the donkey and the ox measure 6 metres in height. The nativity scene has been erected on this summit since 2005. In the ceremony, Christmas carols were also sung, and Mayor of Quito, Santiago Guarderas, said this is an important symbolic act for those who are Catholics. According to a Reuters investigation, the Nigerian army slaughtered children in its fight against Islamist insurgents. Over 40 soldiers and civilians told Reuters that they had either seen children killed by the Nigerian military or seen their bodies after a military action. It is estimated that thousands of children perished in the army operations. 6 cases involving at least 60 fatalities were looked into by Reuters. The investigation revealed that the Nigerian army and allied security forces have killed children throughout their arduous 13-year campaign against Islamist insurgents in the nation's northeast. Reuters was informed by soldiers and armed guards working for the government that army superiors had instructed them to delete children because they were thought to be assisting Boko Haram or its Islamic State spin-off rebels. According to witnesses, there have been intentional deaths of children throughout the region during the conflict. A former Chaldean Catholic seminary located in Dora, that being a suburb of Baghdad in Iraq, is now welcoming displaced Christians from Mosul and the Nineveh Plain. The refurbished seminary is receiving refugees from the Camp of the Virgin Mary in the Iraqi capital. Those Christians who fled Mosul and the Nineveh Plains following the 2014 Islamic State occupation found refuge in the Virgin Mary refugee camp. In recent months, nearly 120 Christian families received an order to evacuate the complex that housed them, as it was located on state-owned land. It appears that a new shopping centre is to be built in that area. In October, Chaldean Patriarch Louis Raphael Sacco visited the complex of the Virgin Mary to show his closeness to the families of displaced people and to address their concerns. The Bishops' Conference of Scotland has lamented the UK Supreme Court's decision to uphold a bill passed by the Northern Ireland Assembly banning pro-life vigils near abortion clinics. The judgment was made unanimously by the Supreme Court last Wednesday. In a statement, the bishops said the decision fails to protect the basic freedom of expression and assembly. They also pointed to a similar proposal put forward by a member of the Scottish Parliament, which, if passed, would ban prayer vigils outside abortion clinics. The bishops warned that if the Scottish Parliament endorses such a law, it would erode hard-won freedoms and fundamental rights. A 27-year-old British woman with Down syndrome has been listed among the 100 inspiring and influential women from around the world for 2022 by the BBC. 27-year-old Heidi Crowther has been fighting against the discriminatory abortion law on babies with Down syndrome in the United Kingdom. She has been campaigning to change the perceptions of people with Down syndrome, adding that she took the UK government to court over legislation allowing fetuses with the condition to be aborted up until birth. Pro-life organisation Right to Life UK spokesperson Catherine Robinson expressed joy over the decision to include Crowther in the list, saying that Miss Crowther and her legal team have worked tirelessly to change the law so that it recognises the equal worth and dignity of all unborn babies, those with disabilities and those without. A prominent Christian leader in Israel has warned incoming Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that some of his coalition members have not said good things about Christians in the past. Jürgen Buhler of the International Christian Embassy of Jerusalem made this statement while speaking at the opening of a major summit for evangelical media on Sunday. This was the 6th annual Christian Media Summit, in which 180 reporters and influencers took part. Buhler's organisation promotes Christian support for Israel globally and funds numerous humanitarian and missionary projects. Following his victory in last month's elections, Mr. Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister, is anticipated to establish the nation's most right-wing administration to date. Buhler said he believes that Jews and Christians can partner together in forming a better world. Father Yousaf Sohan has been appointed by the Holy See as the new Bishop of Multan in southern Punjab. The Bishop-elect said he would prioritise the education of Catholics in his diocese, which is among the most deprived regions in the province. On December the 9th, Pope Francis appointed the parish priest of Multan's Most Holy Redeemer as the new bishop. The episcopal ordination and installation of the 64-year-old priest will take place before Lent next year. There are 80,000 Catholics in the Multan diocese, but at least half of them are engaged in menial sanitation jobs. Due to the social ostracisation they experience, the majority of their children drop out of school. Bishop-elect Sohan said he aims to restore at least 3 church-run hostels that have been closed for a decade. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more, and do remember, you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.